Welcome to Math Plus, where math makes sense. In this video, we'll be finding the volume of rectangular prisms. So the first question you may have is, why do I need to measure volume? And what is volume? Volume is when we measure the inside of a container. So fish tank, for instance, when you go to buy that fish tank, you need to know what that measurement is. How much will it hold? How many fish can survive in that amount of space? How much water do you need to put into it? Cereal boxes. How much cereal can the company put into that cereal box before they sell it? And you know that's all automated, so you've got to make sure all those measurements are correct. The moving van, you got to know how much furniture or things can I fit in that van to move it from one place to another. To fill up that swimming pool, you need to know how much water will fit in that space. Today, we're going to be finding volume for rectangular prisms. So no swimming pools today. All of these are in the shape of a rectangle, and they're three-dimensional. You can actually feel all six sides. It's not flat, it's three-dimensional. When an item is flat, we call that two-dimensional. When it's got all the sides showing, you can pick it up and actually hold it. That's three-dimensional. So here are some examples. A box. Somebody might be filling a box to fill up to ship something to a company, and they need to know precisely how much space is inside that box. And obviously, if you have a business, you want to fill up every single corner of that box. Sometimes you may have to have boxes made to be able to move your product. And of course, we talked about the fish tank and the moving van. We have a formula when we want to measure the volume, that inside space. Now, in our last video, I'm going to put that link above. We talked about the unit of measurement using cubic units. We measure volume in what we call cubic units. So you can see this is a cube, right? This cube, depending on its size, it may be measured in centimeters or inches or feet or miles, depending on how large your item is that you want to fill up. And that is what is measured. So for instance, we use the formula length times width times height. So we want to look at this box. The length is 7 units. So if I were to put these cubes in here, there's 7 of them that will fit across the front. 4 will fit across the side. And this is what we call our base, right? That level. We have layers. And the height would be 4 units. To know the precise volume, we're going to multiply those numbers together. The first thing you would do is measure your length and your width, and we also call that the base. If it helps you to not get confused, just think to yourself that you have to figure out that base, that bottom layer, and then figure out how many layers there are, how high it is. Okay, sometimes that helps with the understanding better. Now, does it matter if I multiply the 7 times 4 or 4 times 7. Now, if you know your multiplication and you understand multiplication, those numbers can be in any order and still come up with the same answer. So don't get caught up in that. Length and width basically is your base, and it can be multiplied length times width or width times length. It doesn't matter. So there's 28 units for my base. 7 times 4 is 28. So we're going to multiply 28 times 4. Sometimes you have to figure it out like this. It's not always going to be right in your head, right? And that makes 112 cubic units. Now, why do I have to make sure I say the word cubes? Because we're measuring cubes. We're not measuring squares. Always use that measurement. Now, a lot of times you're thinking, well, what I'm measuring, aren't I measuring by inches or centimeters or feet? Absolutely. So let's say that this box, okay, is 4 inches high, okay, and it's 3 inches wide. This is a small box, okay, and then it's 6 inches across. So now we're using actual measurements. You know what an inch looks like. So these are cubic inches now instead of cubic units. I just changed my measurement to inches. And normally you're going to be working with that. What's the first thing I do without even looking at my formula? I need to know that base. I need to know the base. So the base is 3 times 6. 3 times 6 is 18. Now I need to know how many layers are there inside. How many layers can I put in there? And it tells me right here, it's 4 inches high. So you're going to multiply that by 4. 8 times 4 again is 32. And 4 plus 3 is 7. Now, the way we would write this answer is 72 inches. And we don't stop there. We have to put the unit of measurement. And to say cubed, we're not writing the word. We just put a little 3 there. And when you see that 3, that means cubed. So if somebody came to you and said, I have this item and it's 72 inches cubed, right away you know, oh, whatever they have, the volume of that item is 72 inches cubed. And that's your sign right there that we're measuring volume. Let's practice. You have this box, and where our units are actually meters, so we're going to change that, okay? I want you to pause the video, figure out the volume, then come back when you're ready to go over it. I'm going to get the base, and the base numbers are actually up here at the top, 2 meters by 5 meters. Whatever the top measures as, the bottom will measure the same. 5 times 2 is 10. And now I need the height. How high is that? Or how many layers can fit in that box? And that number is 8. So the answer is 8 times 10, which is 80 meters. What do we have to say? Did we just say 80 meters? No, we have to make sure we put the 3 there and say 80 meters cubed. If you just write 80 meters, that's a linear measurement. You could be talking about going from the front door of your house to the garden. It's 80 meters away. That's linear. You put that 3 there and it means volume. You're measuring the inside of this box. All right, one more for you to do. Pause your video and come back. And this time our units are cubic inches and not just cubic units. We use the word units when we don't know what the measurement is. What is our base? 6 times 5. We have 6 across here and 5 here. 5 times 6 is 30. Our height, or our layers that we can put in the box, is 8. And then we multiply. 8 times 3 is 24. Now the answer's not finished. Did you remember to put your unit of measurement? You need to remember to do that in all of your math. Always have that unit of measurement. Don't just say, oh, it's 240. 240 what? 240 inches cubed. Before we finish the video, I want you to pay attention to what some common mistakes that students make, or adults, when they're figuring out the volume. They forget one of the dimensions. They forget that they have to multiply 3 numbers and not just 2. They tend to want to use square units because they're thinking, oh, that's a square. No, it's not. It's a cube. Look at the picture. You can see all 6 sides. This is square units when it's a flat surface. When it's a 2-dimensional figure, that's when we use square units. When it's a 3-dimensional figure, then we use cubic units. Okay? So that's the difference. Sometimes people will mix up their length, their width, and their height. The most important thing is these 2 are the base. Doesn't matter what order you multiply them, but remember the height is going to be that 3rd number that you multiply by. So make sure you don't get them mixed up. If you have to highlight them or circle the height, just so you don't accidentally put it in the base. Those are common mistakes. Here are some tips that you can remember. Volume measures the space inside. So if you can't put your hand in it, or you can't put something in it, then that's not volume. Volume is something 3-dimensional inside measurement. And the formula is the length times the width times the height. Always use cubic units.